From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, a show that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. I'm Daniil Barkov, and today I'll be speaking with Julianne Hall, who is a mathematics major here at CCM. Welcome, Julianne. So, how have you been? How's everything been going with, how the world is right now?
Everything's been a little crazy, but different, and I'm kind of trying to embrace it all. So,
So, I understand you're a student here at CCM. How long have you been going here?
I took classes previously just over the summer, and then I started full time now this fall.
Okay. And so you took this fall was your first semester back in a while, correct?
Yes, it's my
Yes.
first semester back at school since 2018. So,
2018. Okay. So you didn't get to, I guess, see the transition last semester with how everything changed, right?
no, I didn't. I mean, I've heard quite a bit, but I just kind of jumped into it this semester. So.
Okay. And so personally, I'm not a mathematics major because I'm terrible at math. But can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, the major that you're pursuing?
Sure. I'm actually already a certified teacher for mathematics up to eighth grade. And I also have my special education certificate for K through 12. But I want to also be able to teach high school math. So, in order to do that, I needed to take higher level math courses. So, I decided to start now, actually, because CCM is remote. That's why I actually started, which is a little bit different than a lot of other students going there that probably do not like the remote
Mhm.
classes. I have two kids, so I do like to have some kind of interaction in school, but it's hard for me to stick to an actual schedule
Mhm.
where I'm going to campus. So now the remote, I'm still able to learn in some form of interactive classroom, but I don't have to commit my schedule so much for sitters or someone watching my kids or daycare. So it's actually been good in that aspect for me.
So the virtual class have been a little bit more convenient for you, because you have a very busy schedule going on.
Convenient because I can kind of tweak my schedule to make it work
Mhm.
with remote classes more so.
Mhm. Okay.
So, I mean,
So you,
it is difficult too, though.
yeah, no, I mean I totally understand. You're also getting the second semester of it basically being together. So thank God you were in the last semester when everything changed over, which was I think was at least the hardest part for I think everybody, students and teachers to
Oh,
adapt
sure.
just kind of on the fly. And how many classes are you taking here at CCM?
Right now, I have 12 credits.
Okay.
So, taking four classes.
4 classes. And since you're a full-time mom, I'm assuming you take mostly night classes, I guess, to keep your schedule like a little bit free.
Mostly night classes, and then I have one class on Wednesdays and Fridays that's during my son's nap time. My daughter is doing virtual school actually on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Hmm.
So I get to see the kindergarten aspects of virtual classrooms as well, which I don't know could be helpful.
So have you had what are some I guess challenges that you've experienced? Because it does seem like the online class are a little bit more convenient for you, but have there been any issues that I guess have come up with taking them?
Well, it's funny you say that because my major is mathematics. I love math. I've always done very well, but I'm having some difficulty with mathematics in remote learning.
Yeah.
It goes a little bit faster. We do have breakout rooms, which is helpful,
Hmm.
but I just feel like it's not the same as in person.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's at least I had a lot more, I guess, success when it was in person, specifically with math too, because as I said, I'm probably the worst at math. But being in person, specifically with math, when you can talk with a teacher, is definitely a little bit more convenient. But I know there are, like you said, the breakout rooms. That's kind of when they separate a student with a teacher if they need to talk privately or like go over something more, correct?
yeah, in math, typically they're breaking out with like four students in each
Hmm.
room, and then the teacher will go from room to check, but you have to pretty much interact as much or as little as you can. So depending on who's in your breakout room, depends on how much they really want to partake in
Mhm.
the equation or whatever you're doing at that time. So.
Okay. So, and since you're pursuing education, can I ask when did you decide that you wanted to go into, I guess, education?
Well, I guess I never thought I was going to do education, but I I went to Rutgers prior in 2005. I graduated from, or no, in 2009. I'm sorry. All these years,
Yeah.
right? I graduated from Rutgers with a psychology degree, and it was kind of a harder time then to get jobs. There were a few things that I was, interviewing, but I didn't really find what I wanted, and I hadn't really seen much of the world. So that's when I enlisted in the Air Force because I found a program for language and language learning specifically, and that made me um, actually want to get into education because I had the opportunity to go to California and learn another language actually from locals from
Mhm.
Afghanistan because my language was Pashto, but they have every language there. That just happened to be the one that I got.
Mhm.
Um, so it was really a humbling, great experience, and it really made me think about education, the way we see education here in the United States, the way we see it over throughout the world, and it really made me want to get involved. So
So basically, so you went to Rutgers, graduated from there with a psychology degree, I believe you said,
yes,
and then after that you served in the military for 4 years in the Air Force language, and then now you're deciding to pursue, I guess, education even further with expanding the knowledge that which grades you can teach and how far you could go in that regard.
exactly. I really want to have as much experience as I can.
Mhm.
And be as flexible as I can because as we see in education right now, flexibility, it really is key.
So, as you, since you will be an educator, in the future, do you see, I guess, online classes staying around for the future?
I see more preparedness for online classes, and I see actually, hopefully, universities being able to get this hybrid model for some students that do want a more flexible schedule or who are working or who are pursuing school when they have a family as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be great if we could have that ideal of students in the classroom and students also remote learning in that same classroom.
Mhm.
I mean, I see it with my daughter right now because half of the students are not in school and half of them are. And the teachers really do a great job interacting with both.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know, I think that could be a great model for universities in the future.
Mhm. So, since I guess, well, you do have a background in language. Did you ever consider pursuing, I guess, education in a language field, or do you specifically want to go into math?
Probably math. I
Math.
mean, if I did anything with language, I'd want to learn Spanish just
Mhm.
because I think that it's pretty much essential to learn Spanish now in the
Mhm.
United States, especially if you want to go into something that you're working with people like education,
Mhm.
to be able to speak to parents that might be first generation here,
Mhm.
things like that. But I don't know. The
Mhm.
problem is that the language that I learned is getting more and more obsolete now because it's a tribal language. So I thought about going back and learning another language, but my husband's still in the military, and it's kind of hard to have two people in the military at once. So
Yeah. So, just I mean, at least I have some knowledge or at least understanding is that specifically in Afghanistan, a lot of the languages are, like you said, tribal. So even though it's not the biggest country, there's a lot of different dialects. Is that correct?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, there's I think somewhere between 30 and 40 dialects of the language that I
Wow.
learned. I mean, don't quote me on that
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
completely sure, but
Yeah.
there might be hundreds. But
Mhm. Okay.
um, yeah. So, and unfortunately, with all of the war and instability in Afghanistan, a lot of languages and dialects are being kind of eradicated.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Yeah.
so are not used. Dari has taken over there a little bit too.
Mhm.
But these are probably all people. A lot of people do not know the languages that we learn in California. It was interesting,
Mhm.
definitely.
So before we do take a commercial break, I do have one more question, basically about how your Zoom calls have been going. So you said you do take mostly night classes.
Yes.
Do you find any? Because again, I know some classes could go for up to, I guess, 3 hours. Do you find any, I guess, stress or any issues with like looking at a computer screen for like hours on end if need be with these classes? Because I think that was the most exhausting thing for me, and I think that's some issue that a lot of students do have.
Yeah, I agree. My Monday night class is 6 to 9:30 on
Wow.
Monday nights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's very good that he does usually have like a segment at the end that's more of a lab segment that
Mhm.
you're doing something and you can complete it at your own pace. But it can get a little bit drawn out. And sometimes late at night, you can find yourself like nodding off or kind of drifting somewhere
Yeah.
else or something else you have to do. And especially because computers isn't really like my passion. So you
Yeah.
kind of, it is hard.
Yeah.
And screen time and just this whole age of social media and stuff like that is a scary thing to get that wrapped up in. I don't want my life to surround technology. I
Yeah.
kind of want to interact with people more. I don't want to lose that human interaction.
Yeah. I think that's been probably the biggest issue for students is the fact that basically just not a lot of interaction because you can't really talk in a lot of these classes until it's an appropriate time, and just being isolated is kind of I guess the hardest part with paying attention and I guess applying yourself in a way.
Yeah, I mean that's worrisome because the age. I'm a little bit older than a lot of the students there, but I know that you all grew up so much with social media and so much with technology that I don't want this remote aspect to take over and then you be even more withdrawn from
Yeah.
society and from interaction, not from society. There's a huge society on the internet,
Yeah.
but I mean actually going out and speaking to people and interacting and
Yeah.
dating and that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I think though, because I know a lot of issues like with public speaking class and stuff like that, it was, I guess, the stress of being in front of all these students, but being virtual, it kind of eliminates that learning curve and getting over, I guess, fears like that and, expanding your knowledge.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Some
so,
people, I mean, yeah, they can have a whole different personality online
yeah,
and really be way more confident, and then be
yeah,
in person and you think it's a different person.
yeah. Okay, well, now we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm Andrea Lucia, a graduate of County College of Morris. At CCM, I gained a high-quality education, was involved with clubs on campus, and performed university research in tissue engineering. My CCM education prepared me for ongoing success. Today, I am at Cornell University, studying engineering and performing research in cardiac tissue engineering. The professors and staff at CCM helped me to start right and finish strong.
Welcome back to CCM All Access. I'm Daniil Barkov, and we are here with Julianne Hall. So, Julianne, can you tell us a little bit about, because I know you said you went to Rutgers, you got a degree there. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience there?
Sure. I graduated high school and went right to Rutgers. I kind of changed my major a little bit, and it was my first time away from home. So
Mm.
figuring out like how to be on your own, and I was paying for all my stuff. So then you're getting extra jobs and that kind. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about now when it comes to being away for the first time and having those responsibilities. It was a great school. I love Rutgers. I would probably go back there pursuing a master's eventually, or higher education, but it was definitely a more or a less rather impersonal experience than some of the smaller universities. And in the future, if I was giving the advice to my kids or something, I would say start at a community school or a smaller school and have everyone know your name, have them be advising for you. You're not picking out your own schedule. There's so many benefits to knowing everyone in your classes, knowing all your professors personally, and not really just being a social security number sometimes
Yeah.
at the bigger universities. Some that works great for other people, and the research there is great, and I love Rutgers, but it can be challenging as a freshman, as an 18-year-old, going off to such a big university.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a bigger university at the start before I realized that I needed to go to like community college first, so at least I guess get everything on track. Because I know a lot of freshmen do have a lot of issues with it. Like you said, it's your first time being independent, and you're just kind of thrown into it. And then while a community school, although you still have independence, it's a good way to I guess ease into it without being overwhelmed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, Morris County College is very it's difficult as well and challenging.
Yeah.
It's not like I didn't like, because in high school a lot of times you'd hear like, oh, community school and stuff. No, I mean, some of the
Yeah.
math classes or the statistics class that I took over the summer there, my pre-calc, like my pre-calc class at Morris County pretty much got me through calculus class somewhere else. Like it was difficult.
Yeah. No, I've definitely had a lot better experiences with teachers here than I did at the other school because again, it's so personal. The classes are almost all of them are very small, except for I guess the big lecture halls, which I don't think there's even that too many of them, and it helps having teachers that are I guess accessible since when they know you on I guess like a first name basis, you know?
Yeah, and then you have those relationships when you go off to the bigger
Yeah.
schools, so you can come back and you can reach out to those professors. I'm sure they'd be more than willing.
Yeah.
So that's good too.
And CCM also offers like programs with Rutgers as well, so it's even a foot in the door going right away from basically from the start.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about your courses not transferring. You don't have to worry about having to seek out these programs. A lot of these programs exist, and some of them even seek you out. They come and they speak. I think St. Elizabeth's has come before to one of my classes, or Seton Hall maybe. I don't know exactly, but I remember a few people coming, saying how you could transfer your course of study to the four-year universities in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it was helpful.
Yeah. So at back to Rutgers because I am a little bit
Yeah.
interested. So you decided to basically study for psychology, but the psychology. Did you know you wanted to go into education? I guess from there before you went into the military.
No, I did not. I was interested in using the military as maybe a way to get into the NSA or one of the three-letter agencies within our government. And then everything changed.
Yeah.
Then I went to Defense Language Institute, as I had told you, right after basic training, and I was put into a 63-week course. That's how long they gave for Pashto.
Wow,
So
63 weeks.
63 weeks straight. You had 1 week of vacation. So
Wow.
at some point in the 63 weeks, and that was the only vacation that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And you were doing probably it was 6:30 in the morning or 7 until about 3 or 4, like a normal school day. You'd go, you'd have your PT, which is your like gym or like I'm trying to like dumb it down because all these acronyms are like so you have that, and then a lot of the times you'd have study hall from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night. So this is what the teachers were doing there. They were 7 in the morning until 8 at night teaching. Like that's how passionate they were. My teachers were all native Afghans that came here because they fled their country. So I had teachers that were like military, high-ranking military in Afghanistan. I had teachers that were in special forces over there. I had teachers that were doctors over there, and now they're trying to become doctors here. Veterinarians, ones that were on Supreme Courts, like high judges over there. And then I had taxi cab drivers as our teacher. Like it was like you had everything. And you had women that didn't have a career there that came here and then they were teaching. So it was just fun to see that you don't have to have a degree. If you're really passionate about it, you can teach just as well as someone who has a degree, who may be fully trained. And I mean, it really has to do with how much effort you're going to put in and the passion that you have.
And I guess the passion of those teachers really rubbed off on you because now you want to become an educator. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you learned their language, you learn their culture, you learn their beliefs. And I don't know, with a foreign language, if you know someone in the beginning of the course and they're trying to speak English to you and they're trying to teach you, as you go through, you meet a whole nother person at the end of the course when they're speaking their language to you. Because sometimes you just, I mean, they were telling jokes and stuff and having these personalities, and literally in English, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
It was like completely different. It was really amazing to see, because I mean, you really can be a different person in your native language because you're so comfortable.
So, well, what made you decide that you wanted to learn one of the tribal Afghanistan languages?
Oh, the military made me decide
Oh,
that.
okay.
I mean, it just goes by, you take a test to show that you have the aptitude to learn a language within that time constraint. And then they basically do it on need of the military at that current
Oh,
time.
wow.
So, and then they kind of take your test scores too into account, but a lot of it has to do with the need. So.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about what you can say about some of the experiences that you had after you, I guess, graduated from the program and then were in the military?
Sure. After that, I met my husband. So it was funny. We saw each other quite a bit through training, but we were like shy and never really. And then when we went from Texas and then to Washington, and then he was actually stationed in Florida, and then finally we started talking. But we deployed together to Afghanistan at the same time. And it was great because we were over there for October through January, February. So we had all the holidays over there, and we were such a small unit that we got to have like our own tree, Christmas tree, and we had Thanksgiving dinner, and all Afghans were serving you in the cafeterias and stuff, and they were like dressed up with turkeys, and they were probably like, what are we even doing? But it was definitely an experience in that sense, but also an experience because I was on an airplane. I was a flyer, so I was airborne, and it was sad for me, but also made me want to do education because I got to fly over Kabul and Bagram and all these areas. I mean, in the 80s, our teachers would show us pictures of them in universities there, and you just saw ruins, and it was really sad because that was their life, and that was what they were doing, and they were so devoted to their country. And now you're flying over this beautiful country. No one thinks Afghanistan's beautiful, but you fly over it and you see these mountains and like ruins of something that was great. You could tell when you look at architecture that it was beautiful, and you can see what it might have been, but you can't see what it was, like it was definitely upsetting like that. Because you saw a picture that they depicted to you of their country, and you saw how it is now. And
yeah. Well, that's one of, I guess, like the oldest regions in the world. There's so much history back there, and it's good that the teachers came back over here to, I guess, pass it on, and you've taken to it so well. And now you're, I guess, even though you're not going about their country, like what they were teaching you, but the fact that were so passionate about education, and now you're moving forward from there is very impressive.
Well, and you got to see children that there was no infrastructure for education. There's lack of teachers, there's lack of resources, there's fear of being educated, especially for young girls over there. But you see children and parents that are willing to still send their kids to a school, whether it be under a tree or it be in an actual building. And you see that passion, and it makes you really want to use that and bring it over here, because I know that in the United States, and we all know that equity within education and equality it's very different when it comes state to state, when it comes town to town, county to county. And to be able to see that over there and then be able to use that here, I don't know, that really called out to me.
So basically now, since you're, I guess, advancing your career in education, can you tell us a little bit what's your goal, what's your end goal for where you want to be, I guess, after CCM or like in your education career?
I mean, really, I would like to do something with education leadership and also with research in equity at Centenary University. I actually had because I actually graduated from Centenary also.
Oh, wow.
That's where I got my teaching degree. My K through 6 general education, K through 8 math, and K through 12 special education. And they were great. And I got to work with someone who was into equity in education, more so for girls and for women. And I could see myself doing something like that, being able to support research and being able to advocate for women and for girls across maybe the whole world, maybe just the United States. I don't know. The scope is endless, right?
Yeah. So I'm very impressed with the fact that you said that there's specifically even like from Afghanistan, because you know it is a country where there's definitely issues with women. And the fact that you said that a lot of the teachers that came from there were women and how they're pursuing that is very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I had 2 female teachers, but we had small teaching teams. So you really only had like 6 to 8 teachers. And one was more traditional, and then the other one, she was trying to kind of assimilate into our culture, but having issues because her family was there too. And, you know, like you see a lot of that first generation here. And I was really close with her because she was actually going through a divorce, which in that culture is something that is very frowned upon. But here, we've come more to accept divorce. And it's understandable. Like, it's not like if you're getting divorced, people don't look at you like,
Yeah.
you know, like. So it was. I mean, I got to connect with her really emotionally, and that was nice. And she actually like made a cake for my birthday, and we were really close. And I don't know, it's nice when you get those relationships with your teachers, you know.
No, I mean I could see how well it's rubbed off on you because you want to pursue education so much further. And I know you said you wanted to do mathematics specifically, but can I ask like why not language since you have so much background in it?
I don't know. I mean, to teach language is hard, and I don't really have. I thought about after I left the military, maybe going and teaching in the military for language. I almost actually got a job down in Florida doing that. Um, but then I don't know. You get out of it, and
Yeah, no, I
we
understand.
ended up here because my family. You know, you're away from your family a lot, and I don't know, we wanted to be either near my husband's family, he's from Ohio, or ours, and it just happened to be that we're only 6 hours away from Cleveland here, and we don't mind. Even my kids, like they'll jump in the car and drive 6 hours to see
Yeah.
their grandparents. Like today, if I picked up my daughter, you know, so it's nice to have that support too.
So if you don't mind me asking, what I guess what grades are you specifically looking to teach? You know how because I know you said you were pursuing middle school and then like potentially high school, but would you go any further, like possibly like college students or anything like that
I mean, maybe in the future,
in the future?
especially when I see some of my teachers here. And I have an educational psychology class this afternoon, and it's really nice to be able to have that interaction with young adults and or even older adults coming back into the field and changing their careers. And it's nice to be able to speak like academically and have that. Like I'm around my kids all the time, so I don't really get to use my full brain. I feel like sometimes it's so nice because people have such great ideas and really they change the way that you look at the world and how things are going on. And to be able to have that academic conversation is great. I mean, I really like the college years. I really have learned a lot from all of my peers, all of my teachers. So I wouldn't say no to answer your question.
Well, I would like to thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been an honor talking with you, and thank you for your service. And this has been another edition of CCM All Access. From all of us on the crew, we wish you good health, and thank you for watching.